Welcome to Live at BFN Limusimana Khape, featuring the one and only Queen Munaheng. Yo dumerisa nkena Musimana Khape, Blyth Pudumo. Dumela ntleng Bloemfontein dumelang bana ba Peracho singa ngata. Gompieno la bona gore ke coverile ke ba re retis for danger. One tlhaloganya. Ke na le kgaitsane fano fa kgaitsedi ya me e tlile go ikitsisi mme pele ga nka mo itsisi se ke batlang gore o se itse ke gore we are very impartial. Don't think that we're hosting another organization on the show. We are not gonna be able to host your organization on the show. Live at BFN Limusimana Khape, Blyth Pudumo. Baraki season 4, my sister. Baraki season 4. Season 4, it's an elite. Shout out to all our subscribers out there. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. It's live at BFN _media_podcast show. Bona kina loena. Usantu zamalena Musimana Khape. Lakini mimi se khaitsedi ya aus Malefu. Khaitsedi ya aus yami.
Yes, yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Re thata. Khaitsedi ya me ako re baretsi kwa gae gore Malefu ke mang ibile Malefu o bone kwa lefatsheng le.
Alright. So lebitso la ka ke Malefu Mokone and the provincial coordinator ya EFF Youth and Students Mobilization Task Force. We saw on the 26th of August that the leadership of the EFF had converted the structures like EFF into election task forces. So, and that's the capacity in which I come.
Okay.
So, I was born in Excelsior, but I was raised in Tabazwe. I came to Bloom around 2010.
Okay.
Because my mother is a native of Bloemfontein.
All right.
I went to Castle Bridge at some point.
Heaven, what's over Castle Bridge?
Man.
Okay.
But I was a problem child.
Man.
So I didn't last long. Let's just say I haven't always really been one for the system, Maria.
Nya ra le mo khaitsedi ya me a go rrai gompieno o no le kwa lefelong le la Khayelitsha. Take us through the journey ya go Khayelitsha.
All right. So first I'm going to explain my relationship with Khayelitsha, right? And the organization's relationship with Khayelitsha. Khayelitsha, as we know it, is one of the most dejected communities in Bloemfontein, right? This is where statistically we've seen Bloomspruit, which is the police station that services the area Khayelitsha, is rated the second highest in the country in terms of the GBV rate and the drug and substance abuse. So it's also a community where we have a lot of activism in terms of youth participation, the program is at EFF. So when we got into the community, we realized there's such a big or a high rate of drug and alcohol abuse because there's a scarcity of development programs. You'll find the community is pretty much infested with poverty, crime. So in the middle of all of that, you have young people being lost to those issues. You find that they drop out of school due to teenage pregnancy. You find that some of them, they get into gangsterism from primary school ages, transitioning into high school. It's a very problematic area. So we said, you know what, we need to combat the issue ya Khayelitsha by bringing political consciousness into the community first, and then also youth participation programs, because the main aim was to get young people off the streets and focused into one thing. Then we realized that there's a lot of creativity in Khayelitsha, and there's a gap. The platforms that cover the creative side of Khayelitsha. The children there, they can sing, I'm telling you, any activity that you could think of creatively, they can do. So we're going to develop and start a youth corner where we as the organization go there at a set date and a set time of every month engage Libacha. We engage them in terms of their different talents. So we've opened we've opened a platform for them basically to showcase talent in Zabona, because we take the content that we shoot from those activities and then we repost them on TikTok. We also explain to the children, content creation is an area that needs to be explored. So we encourage them to go on such platforms and engage with their own content.
Ne ke lebeletse le mo dikgang ba tlhagisitse motlhankanyana o mongwe le ene is a content creator. Ke bafana ba irang di-jokes around. And just on TikTok, he made it. It was a breakthrough.
It was. My experience with TikTok, I was a content creator before I joined the EFF, actually. But I used to center my content mainly around online racism and cyberbullying.
Okay.
So when I started content creation myself, I remember I used to see the videos and I used to have opinions on them and feel, I want people to engage my opinion. But I always thought to myself, I need like a fancy phone, an iPhone, and I need until actually one day my daughter at home said to me, and she's young, I think she was 5 years old at the time.
Okay.
TikTok. And I was like, and we did the first trend, and I think it got like over 10, 20 views. And I was like, but what if I start now engaging the TikTok community on my opinions on certain issues? And that's how I started. The first ever video I made, I remember there's a group called Beta India on TikTok. So in my opinion, they're a hate group, because even the content that they spread on social media, you'll see it's relatively hateful. So they had posted something about the black community, and I remember I engaged it. Immediately I engaged it. It went viral. Now it caught the attention of other content creators who were creating content around that. I then realized how big the community of online racism and cyberbullying was. And now that was the first time I was exposed to things like Boba, shadow band, and all of those logistics behind TikTok. But the silver lining in all of this is I never knew how easy it was. I never knew I could do it on my own phone. I could do it wherever I was, and I could be as creative as I wanted to be. And the minute I realized that, then I saw, that platform needs to be shared, especially with the poor, because there's so much talent to cover.
22 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock. Ke ntse ke dutse lenele aus Malefu. La utlwa gore wa le tlhatlhamollela ga ne ke le botsa kgale ke le raya gore live at BFL le mosimane gape Blyth Pudumo. It's just a baby. Not 10 3 ke di 8. So big ups to you, Jaga. Aus Malefu, how are the kids going to benefit from your proposal?
Okay. Remember, the aim is to inspire youth activism and also promote creativity and talent. So we as the organization have not promised the kids anything other than what social media can do for them. It's very important for people to know it's a space in which you can grow as an artist. We've seen many talented people getting first recognized on social media. Case in point, I could use Sima. Sima first started as a content creator on TikTok, and now we've seen her going into mainstream music. So those are the opportunities that we tell the children about and get them interested in. And also them knowing if we have an issue of the scarcity that the program the developer Mbacha and their own talent. So what they get out of that also is confidence in their individual talents. Most of them have brought us together and said, you know what, now we want to do a talent show, we want to compete. That is when Lona will go back to our leaders and say, we might as well start fundraising so that at least we can give them something that they can be proud of on that day, like a trophy or something to say, I performed and this is what I got from the EFF as appreciation. So basically, their online platforms can grow, and also that level of engagement, it also benefits them, I think, both creatively and consciously, in that we not only sit through like their talent exhibits, but we actually sit with them to conscientize them on politics as a whole.
Kgaitsedi ya motho ke ngwana sekolo. I'm very good at what I'm doing in class, but ga ke nagane gore ke na le talent. Then ke tla ko kgoneng ya me gore look man, academically I'm sorted, but I want to discover something about myself. How are you gonna work with that?
Alright. So remember, we're broad in a sense that within the EFF we have multiple what is this, committees. For instance, we have the labor desk, where in most times, especially children who come from an academic background who are like good, you'll find or sometimes they have that passion to be activists in terms of the workforce.
Yeah.
So we tend to make you a jack of all trades. Literally, a fighter is a jack of all trades. So the opportunity to explore your talent will be given in the different what is this, programs that we have. Even within the youth corner, there's going to be a point where we sit down to engage our participants on different programs that we can do. In that way, we are able to see, okay, what line of thinking are you moving towards in terms of creativity. Because you find over some people are good at school, they can't sing, they can't dance, but they are also good in terms of public speaking. So that's where you see programs like your debate coming into play.
Tell us why specifically did the EFF choose to start this campaign or this mobilization specifically? Besides the high rate of teenage pregnancy, besides the high rate of the gender-based violence and femicide, why not Ward 14? Then you said Kylie Church Ward
Ward 17.
Ward 17. You understand? Why? Yeah.
It's not the youth corner is not a program that's only limited to Ward 17. We've made implementations of it in different regions. For instance, in Lejoliputswa, you'll see also on the Lejoliputswa EFF online page, there's been many programs that we've been doing with young people in terms of singing and things of that nature, spotting the talent. The EFF in on the 26th of August converted their structures into an elections machinery. So that elections machinery then gave birth to the Youth and Students Mobilization Committee. And the reason for that is EFF was mainly existing mostly in institutions of higher learning. So the organization saw the need to engage the youth on a broader spectrum. NEET youth, youth that are unemployed, young professionals, youth in the creatives industry, different sectors of young people. Also, we're going into 2024, where youth participation is actually the deciding factor as to what happens next year and where we are going as a country. If you've seen from 1976 up to now, there's been a relevant decline in terms of youth activism in South Africa. Young people of nowadays, they are very much, we don't want to have anything to do with politics. And that is a mentality that we are trying to sort of debunk and inspire youth activism within young people. Because here's the thing, whether we can debate it all we want, but the current system and the current government has proven itself to be an enemy of young people. You will see, for instance, in terms of parliament, where you'll say, I mean, to constitute a young person, you have to be between 16 and 35.
Yeah.
But we have a youth minister that's above 70 years old, and it does not make sense.
Doesn't make
does
sense
not
at
make
all.
sense.
Doesn't make sense at all.
We saw the ANC Youth League coming forward now recently, asking their party for extra seats in parliament. Literally, Gwedemandashi, right? That's Gwedemandashi. Literally told them to their face, you are not going to get seats in parliament. You are busy losing universities. You are losing them to the EFF. What if you are a conscious young person? The message that Gwedemandashi was sending to ANC Youth League is to say, we do not care about young people. We are not going to move from parliament and give you space. You will remain on the ground to gather your peers to continue voting blindly for the ANC while we remain there in parliament. That is why now we see the devastating issue, unemployment rate within our communities. Earlier this year, if you remember, there was an issue called Limo Mall, where Ackermans, I think, was looking for people. Ackermans was probably looking for what, maybe 50 people if we're exaggerating. But we saw more than 2,000 young people at that place. I think they were even estimated to be around 5,000 looking for jobs. That was a direct reflection of how dire and devastating the situation of unemployment is among South African youth. So that is the message also the EFF Youth and Students Mobilization Committee is getting across to South African youth to say, comrades, we cannot continue to vote for a system that does not benefit Motu Amocha Kahara, this society. It cannot continue happening. So that is why then the implementation the EFF Youth and Students Mobilization came through. And that program Youth Corner, is part of the other programs that we have. For instance, we have mass voter registration on a daily basis within the campaign. We have Andris Tatane, and then we also make time for Youth Corner to give back to the creative industry in terms of local youth.
Meaning content creators, radio presenters, actors, theatre, plays. Do you think our government is making a difference out of those people that are playing or the team that are content there most of the time?
No, definitely not. The Department of Arts and Culture, let's start there. They need to have the programs that develop artists and the creative industry. You come to the province of the Free State, I think this year I've only seen 2 posters of them doing open calls and open auditions, calling young people in. I think the latest one was here in Bloemfontein. I just forgot where. The marketing even of that, they'll put out a poster today and say the audition is tomorrow. In Bloemfontein, you have talent, you are in Welkom. What are you going to do? So immediately you see how government is disadvantaging us in terms of the content creation and creative space. They literally no implementation programs, like no development programs in place that sort of empower local artists. And then you look at also in terms of giving people recognition and awarding veterans. The guy wa Mopeme, Khotsong Khatho, yes. Khotsong Khatho is one of the most iconic leaders that the province of the Free State has ever produced. Literally, other people have produced. I'm not good with artists. Let's say yes, but we produced Khotsong Khatho. During apartheid, if you opened your TV, my mother will tell you that the first person you'd see is Khotsong Khatho. Our mothers grew up watching him. We grew up watching him. But you will never see in the Free State a street named after Khotsong Khatho or a theatre, an arts and culture theatre that focuses solely on acting, where because he's an iconic leader. I'm sure he can even put down his biscuits to say how did it make it that far in the acting industry. He can put it there as a legacy to Free State youth. But they've denied him that opportunity. I remember EFF last year, the provincial secretary, Commissar Malfani Simak, he went to legislature, was fighting for that, saying, but why are we not recognizing Free State talent? Then you look at the story of the issue of Kima Katleo, Yastandel Afrotonic. He had a smash hit, one of the most iconic songs in the entire country. But that song did not even get the support that, it did not even reach its full potential. Because why? Whenever government had to assist in empowering him as an artist, they did not. So we see that our artists at Free State, you will go back to go, I think even Batukana Litwasa, they spoke about this at some point to say, you know what, Free State, you also need to start sharing and engaging our content. Our people, our government does not do. We have other provinces where you'll see the leadership actively supporting artistry. Kamunana, it's very much limited.
And it's a problem because like at some point you give those people support, but support. It's very difficult for them to do that. I once shared this kind of post mo le gore ne ke bolela le di artists tsa Free State. Mo le gore ke bolela ka gore ga gona thuso mo le gore re dire di huge big events, fancy, but still we're outsourcing where? Let's go to KZN. Let's go to KZN. KZN, when you go to it, how re ungwana Free State ba re tsa mo kopana le tira pe. Then will give you a slot.
Exactly.
You understand? So it's a problem. It's a problem. It's a disease that will never get cured from. So we understand and we get where you're going. Tell us, Malefu. When I'm retomante, rinze le Malefu, unsara tlatlhamolela. O ska le bana gore o subscribe mo YouTube. O ska le bana le ko Facebook. Look at Facebook ba teng, it's live BFN with Blyth Pudumo. The link you will get it that site if you sena YouTube. Wait till batho ba sena YouTube. Wait so. Bona le batho ba sena YouTube tsaleme a bonthai. Gore o tsene mo go tsa di politics. O simolole go engage go tsa di politics. When did Malefu start engaging in politics?
I think it would have to be when I sort of deprogrammed my own head, and I think I was in university. From high school, I grew up a very problematic child.
Okay.
Because I think at that time, and I didn't realize that I was actually an activist. I thought I was just an irritation to the teachers.
Yeah.
In school, I was leading the debate team, and we would engage on different topics. I remember often at times we'd engage on the school. Then we'll see, but no, we don't have camp, we don't have this week. Sepadi that the group used to send to the principal would be me all the time. So I think that's when the spark of consciousness sort of, but I wasn't aware what it was at that time. And then I went on and focused solely on debate and public speaking, because remember, I was a problem child. And my principal one time said to me, you know what, I get it. You're going to sit there, you're going to face the wall. And I faced the wall. I remember at that time I was in Bipupo, it was in the desert, before I started debate. And I got uncomfortable because I hate not moving. So then I started reciting the ABC. And the desert said to me, you know how to, are you that good at spelling? And I said, yeah, I can spell, what do you think? Because I was in grade 9. But he was surprised at the words that I could spell. No, but I remember he even asked me one time, spell extraordinary. I spelled it. And he said, spell it again. I spelled it. The third time I said, I know the spelling. Then he said to me, you know what, you're going to start competing in debate. And ever since I started there, I never stopped. I started for spelling bee. In 2014, I represented South Africa in Netherlands, Guy International High School's moot court competition. 2016, when I was now doing my first year in university, that's when now I can say consciousness started. Because I went to the Northwestern University, and remember, Nikita background in Yalva. I get an excuse so black accepted as a begin to education. So Nikita background in Yalva, it was mainly black students. And there was nothing, I did not know racism, or I did not know prejudice or discrimination of any sort at that time, because never do really in that space. So now when I went to the Northwest University, I remember I was staying in Caroline Damascose's because of my extramural activities and my academics. And that's when now I came face to face with discrimination and those type of things. So that is when now I started saying, okay, I'm in this space as a black student, and I can see we're being suppressed at a certain extent. Because I remember I used to have head-to-head, engagements with the hostel mother to say, but we're not being treated equally as black students. I remember we had to do telephone duty, and you'll find over telephone duty I guys flipping 18 hours a day.
Sure.
When do I have time to study? But you'll go and someone just because you know that one she's not feeling well, she'll have 6 telephone, and you ask yourself, I'm not feeling well, so this girl is not feeling well every day of the year. That's what sparked I think this activism. At that time I was not sure which political party I wanted to join, so I took my content on social media. And then last year in April, that's when I took a conscious decision to say, okay, I'm joining the EFF. But my inspiration mainly comes from, I think, my experiences, and also growing up to see Julius Malema in Parliament, especially from the youth league.
Okay.
I've always been inspired by how brave he was. You know, it always inspired me, and I liked how he developed as a leader. Because if you remember when he started in the ANC, when he was still in the ANC Youth League, even in terms of his academics, he wasn't all that well. But we saw him becoming the president of the EFF, and literally as a leader improving and developing. And that was my first attraction to the organization. I was like, this is black excellence, this is consciousness, I want to be a part of this. So also at that time I was having an issue with an online case that needed intervention from the EFF. So I went looking for the economic freedom fighters. I found them, I joined, and I've been an activist ever since.
Blyth, ako rra ikhitlile mo projecteng ya gago e le gore o no lebagane le yona gompieno. What is it that you would like to see happen by the point in day?
I mean, I'd like to see a lot of programs for young people in Cambridge. I would like to see the government giving that community assistance. That community, like I said, they have the highest rate, probably in Bloemfontein, and I stand to be corrected on that one. I think they're the highest in terms of substance abuse. I'd like to see intervention from government in that. I'd like to see more rehabilitation. Actually, a rehabilitation center that's placed in Khayelitsha. Because what you'll find is it's so difficult for them to get access to that type of help, and that's the help that's much needed. Khayelitsha does not need your yanya tsotis and whatnot. We need help for young people there. We cannot only confront the problem when it has now escalated. Now, we need to confront it from where it starts.
Sure.
From the substance abuse, the there must be government intervention as a way to get even the sale of alcohol. I wish there would be restrictive measures that would be put in place to make sure that community it prohibits selling alcohol to underage children. If we can start there, and if we can also confront some of the injustices that are happening in the community. For instance, we have an issue with a member of CPF in Kailich who was notorious for giving young children alcohol. Someone who's also an ANC member. So you see, things like that are things that need to be flushed out of the community. We need to begin a process of restoration there. So definitely programs, definitely assistance in terms of, because the community is pretty much they are disadvantaged in terms of technological assistance. So I'd like to see podcasts like yourself going into that community to shine a light on the creativity that's there.
A re emise fanofane re santse re nwa metsi fela ra boane pele ga re ya for an ad break go na le sengwe se ke batlang gore o mpuisetse sone. I quote, this guy, he's a radio presenter from a national radio station. Lona le botse ka batho kada. I want you to read this and o bolela moretsi le mo bogedi go gae gore maikutlo a gago wena a ra gore based on the statement. You go baba buisetse so.
All right. So Batukada now says Free State event organizers really need to come together and work towards the same goal of making good quality events for the province. Bloemfontein has now become a playground of anyone that just wants to make money with events when local guys are still around to do the same thing. The very same sponsors that don't want to sponsor local promoters, when these people come from other places, ask for assistance, they jump. But when it's local guys, they reject their proposals. You will never see these people hosting 3 days events for Devon because those guys, they don't take SHIT.
Say it.
So, they just come, take, and go after 3 days. They will buy 5 pairs of school shoes and say they gave back to the community. Bloemfontein has now become a playground for people that you will just see 3 days in a year in the province and disappear. This nonsense will only stop once local promoters can work together. This is so true. We don't only see it in the creative industry. We also have policies in the politics of the Free State. People who just come from, and then they come here. Because the leadership of the province allows it. But I echo Shem Batukada's sentiments. I do also think we need to move in a direction where local organizers can come together and make submissions to the Department of Arts and Culture. Let's go there and get the support that we need, because it's honestly true. You can never see the promoters doing events in Durban. You will never ever see it because Durban basically is very much territorial about their developmental programs and their artist programs. So, we need to start holding government accountable. This thing of shying away from what the problem actually is, has to stop, comrades. The problem is the Department of Arts and Culture in the Free State. That is where we start. And then the rest will follow. Now, in confronting Department of Arts and Culture, we need to come together as young people to think, to work on how we're going to do that. Because whether we like it or not, you can be in the EFF, you can be ANC, not even ANC, God forbid. Don't be in the ANC. I said that one time to my husband and he looked at me like this and said, "Come you're taking it next year." Yeah. Whether or not you affiliate with a different political party, as long as you're an artist, ourselves as content creators, events organizers, promoters, and say, comrades, we are going to hold the Department of Arts and Culture in the Free State of Kalichabo.
Yeah, hi Yami. Pila ka relo gona metsi a go ba raya gore ba ka go kry kae mo di social platforms.
Alright, so on Facebook, Malefu Mokone, and on TikTok, Malefu_Mokone, Twitter, Malefu_Mokone 08.
Hey, but now na lit.
Hey, my president is on Twitter.
Okay, that X is a solving again. Bona, life at BFN Limsman Hape, Blyth Pudumo featuring the one and only Queen Munaheng. Bona Kanamuna, like the second set.
Alright.
On the second set, hot seat questions. So, everybody inside the studio will be taking part. They'll be throwing questions at you, and you have to answer us. Honestly, so. Murato Munte, Arlo Nameti, Raboa. Live at BFN. Liana Musimana Hape, Blyth Pudumo featuring the one and only Queen Munaheng. Bona mana hateng, wait babanzi, papela babuti sa Malefu. Emma Roto, mention a Queen Munaheng, Okokai. Haitidia Moto, a Garabatira qualifying Labo Plu. Moila Hore, Bathola Baholo, Baira make sure for Baholo Banoa, medication Yabonakanako. Le gore ba choosing shout outs to her ke ba irang phetogo e tona mo magarega ga motse wa Mangaung. Shout outs to Tucson Clinic, all the I don't like using this word volunteering.
Yeah.
I don't like using that word, because like you do something out of love and out of passion. And if you are consistent with it, it simply means you were sent to do that. It was a calling towards you to do that. So shout out to all the C something W. Sure, shout out to both ba diragatsa tiragalo e ntse jalo. Go ba le fapa la bophelo bo bontle ra leboga go menagana ba ipotsa gore o tsene on set a role di brave no yana o tsile a sa re di brave re ntse di tukala se ya ngaka welcome to Hot Seat Questions mo ile gore e diragatswa ke Mosimane gape Blyth Pudumo gompieno. It's gonna be different, it's gonna be vibrant, it's gonna be powerful mo ile gore ke tla be ke diragatsa le the one and only Ntate Kale atsamale Ntate Snow White all the way from 114 Bafetu pero so singangata re tlega mollo mo sera simple. Are you ready for your questions?
I wonder.
You want that? Give us a who.
No, I trust the leadership.
Sure.
I'm ready for questions.
Sure.
Full confidence in the leadership.
Okay, from Live at BFN, we have first question for you. And it goes like this. I don't look at my questions. When you look at my questions, you will fail. You won't give me the answer that I want you to give me. So I'll just tell my questions like this because I know them.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. You can look at the screen. Bon, Malefu, you were given an opportunity to make sure that Kamo Ward 40 extramural activities di tseya karolo ke lefelo lefe mo gare go Ward 40 ke lefelo lefe le le gore o tlile go le dirisa.
What's the meaning of lefelo?
Oh, lefelo ke black. What is it?
That language very beautiful.
Bona rona di thola di mena tshipino tse entšha lefelo re bua ka black.
Okay.
A place where gore you you would start establishing what they.
I'll definitely start establishing, I think, a sports center, man, as a venue that caters mainly toward 14 youth. I think in guys are the programs more. I think your podcasting it would go well with that type of place because that's where we see a lot of activity in terms of sporting, in terms of really events organizers. They like hosting those events from sports centers. So I think that would be very key.
All right. Ke tlile go ya go breaki. Ga ke boa go breaki. Ba tlile go kakata yo. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. It's live at BFN. Only if you type live at BFN, you gonna see it. It's just a black and white emblem where you see mokwalo o kwadilweng ka bontlenyane hela. It's live at BFN. With Blyth Pudumo. Bona! Featuring the one and only Queen Munahing. Bona ko Facebook o ka re kgotsa kwa live BFN with Blyth Pudumo. Nna mo mafaratlhatlheng o itse ga ke rata go gana ka mafaratlhatlheng. O itse gonne there was this other time mo le gore ne ke fane ka di-handles tsa go nna le mongwe mo bareetsing ne ke le kwa seelmoeng go nna le mongwe mo bareetsing ya nna sort of like a stalker. Hence how bolela ka cyberbullying. I've been there. You check. I've been there. I've experienced that. I was on air then. I'm not gonna mention the name of that person because it will sound like Kimofa Power. You understand? So you think that you are better, yes. I'm on air, I'm expecting comments. And I have to read the comment. You understand? Luckily enough, I was not the one reading the comment. Because I had my co-host and the person that's doing sports. So one of my co-hosts read that. How would you feel if someone says to you, you think that you are better? While you're still alive on air. You understand? I tried to follow up on it. Literally, it came to me like, I'm saying, so we up to here, Gwen. What the hell? Why? People are toxic outside.
Yes, and you know what? I don't know if people are aware of there are actual consequences for that type of behavior on social media. Listen, content is supposed to be, we want to consume healthy content. No one goes on a platform to hear a viewer bashing the host or the host bashing the listener or those type of things. But unfortunately, in that space, especially in South Africa, in other countries you'll find in the United States, right? They the call out and the cancel culture, Yagamo. If you say something negative on social media, those Americans will literally follow your IP address, find out where you work, find out where you stay, expose you on social media, Robert, for being a cyberbully and a stalker. And if you're in business, that can pretty much affect you and affect the progress of your company. So I wish South African call-out culture would be the same. We would actually be able to trace, especially on social spaces, these individuals who go there deliberately to bully, harass, or insult people. But I think, we're in the fourth industrial revolution, and I think our space is slowly catching up to the times, and I think very soon it will be a reality, or will it be able to at least flush out some negatives in the social media space.
O ska le bala ge moretsi o montle ke sentse ke ntse le ene a o se Malefu mo ile gore moretsi o montle ga o batla go mpona ka di-4 tsa November 2023 o tla mpona kwa ka Hazelview Eating House e tla be le hip hop show re rebolla talent like o ntse o bolela e tla be le hip hop Saturday night mo e le gore nna mosimane gape Blyth Pudumo ke tla be ke go tsamaisetsa bone mosarale nna ke bua thata they know ke bua thata yes bona a re le go nwa metsi mme re raboa tla re go mogele gape wena mobogedi le moretsi o montle wa life at BFN with Blyth Pudumo featuring the one and only Queen Monaheng dumelang gape bona re tlo go roaster yano one tlhaloganya re tle go roaster no yana ntate kana your first question.
Okay, nna ne ke batla go botsa jaaka re itse for EFF e ntse nna le victory like go di-university, what is the plan ya go converta those vote tsa di-student go ha re ya go di-elections tsa 2024 tse le for ke tsa national and provincial?
Right. Voter registration. EFF in a campaign, it's a mass voter. Actually, 2024 is our 1994. That's the official campaign of the EFF. Within that, there's mass voter registration where we go into institutions of higher learning and register students to vote. In terms of the victories that EFF Students Command, particularly in the province, we won Central University of Technology. They have 2 campuses, right? And we won the Bloemfontein campus. We didn't win the South campus. And then there's the University of the Free State, which has 3 campuses. And we won all 3. So EFF Students Command has made it fashionable for young people to vote in institutions. And to convert them is easy. We register them to vote and we prepare them for the 2024 elections. In preparation for that, we also have consciousness that we are driving through our mobilization committees, where we sit as young people and we just engage with one another on the current state of South African politics going into 2024.
Rage.
Hey, ke itumetse thata go kry-a monyetla o wa gore le nna ke tlhage ka puso. Nna ne ke rata go botsa ausi montle thata ausi Malefu. Ke rata go mmotsa potso e nosi hela. Potso e ke ya EFF progressive thata man. Ke bone ba dirile star 134 star 224 hash. So ke ne ke rata go itse go tlhaga mo ausi o montle thata ausi Malefu gore so se nna sone sa bereka mare sa o dira mmereko se dira mosebetsi mare se sa star 134.
Okay. That is the USSD that you can use in order to register to vote EFF. Star 134 star 224 hash. Utobona 3 options. Option ability register to vote. The other one you check your status. The other one you change voting address. So it's as simple as that. If you're not registered to vote yet, said that USSD, it's made free courtesy of the EFF. So both are more linked in South Africa. It's as simple as dialing star 130 star 20024 hash to register to vote EFF.
A go ba phetela yona gape nomoro yo kgetseng.
Star 134 star 20024 hash.
Batla kry-a sengwe le sengwe. Borra re lebogile thata kere. E re nna ke go roaste. Ka go roasta le nna. Ke santse ke na le motsotso le ke sa ke re raiso. Kgetsedia. Which schools? Now I'm putting you on the spotlight. Which schools, and be specific, high school or primary, which schools are you going to work with?
Which schools do we have a working relationship with currently,
Yes.
or which schools do we want to work?
Okay, let's take it in both ways.
All right. Well, currently, I wouldn't know a name for it because the EFF councillors have adopted schools, right? It's part of the responsibilities of the organization. Every public representative of the EFF must adopt a school that is under the care of the Economic Freedom Fighters. So I'm not sure specifically which schools currently, because it depends on which councillor, which ward, or what the nearest proximity school. And then the schools that we're looking to form relationships with, it would have to be all the high schools in the province. And I think, for instance, right now, the Hulong sub-regional coordinator of Mao, Fighters Ex-Kalebe, I think they've developed a very good working relationship with Hulong High School. And we're biting the elephant off little by little.
Khizidi, your target market. What province?
For the youth corner or
for the youth corner?
For the youth corner. Youth, young people with talent, young people with opinions to share, young people who want to express themselves, because you might have realized relatively mainstream media says that. So we want to give a platform to young people to really express themselves creatively and otherwise. So basically young people, local youth, that's our target.
Nya re khutlile Khizidi ya magere. Re lebogile thata gere.
Ke nna le
Khotsa go rona live BFN le mosimane gape Blyth Pudumo, featuring the one and only Queen Munahin. Don't forget you can subscribe, like, and share on YouTube. It's live at BFN _media podcast show. Bona on Facebook, it's live BFN with Blyth Pudumo. Khizidi, now I have a task for you. Mo lefelong la Rocklands, go na le lefelo le le bitswang Outdoor Sports Center. When we used to grow up, many people can tell you that it was called a youth center. Now, currently, I'm not gonna say, like I started the show, I said we are very impartial. Now I see the youth house, it's a political house now. My concern is the area that we're living in, it's an area that's contained with substance abuse inside. My task is go out there, make sure the youth of Mangaung in Rocklands, Ward 40, they go back to that house. That's my task as live at BF.
Go tsa go rona le babogedi ba go gae re re ga e nne poroko.